Okay. Hello, everybody. Welcome to a Pumpcast Live.
This is Annie.
And Nikki, and we're here with Mamava in our Mamava headquarters here in Burlington, Vermont.
In one of our very own original pods.
That's right. And we here at Mamava are dedicated to transforming the culture around breastfeeding, and we provide these beautiful spaces for breastfeeding moms on the go in public locations and private locations, wherever you might need them. So we're coming live at you to talk today about a fun topic, advice.
Advice for the new mom. Because you know what? New moms lack for advice. Nobody gives a new mom advice. Well, nobody, especially not unless she asks. It's always you have to ask first. It's never just anytime they walk by you or see you with a child or see that you're pregnant.
I didn't give you any advice. I didn't even say one word. I said, you got this.
You got this.
You
come to me when you need me.
So we're going to talk about all the unsolicited advice maybe that was provided.
And ours is obviously all right. And you should totally follow every word of it and not take it with a grain of salt and do
First of all, let's caveat, we were up late last night. New moms up late last night with Annie's mom.
Yeah, we were traveling for work. It was our night away from our babies, and we were like, oh my gosh, night away. We could sleep in. We could go to bed. We could not worry about it. No
pump and dump.
We had wine. We stayed up till midnight with my mom.
Midnight, which, by the way, is like an all-nighter right now.
It's also like 3 hours later than I normally. I go to bed at like 9.
I do not go to bed.
Yeah, no, I know you don't. I wake up in the morning and check my inbox.
Anyways. So we are coming at you with bags under our eyes and coffee cups, but we're going to talk about advice, and we're hoping you can share with us some of your best advice that you received during your breastfeeding journey. So we're almost at the 1 year mark.
Yeah, our babies are almost 11 months old this month.
We're still pumping. We both still pumped last night and this morning, being away from our kiddos. So we're not yet having our pumping party celebration that we're done.
Totally going to do the office space thing.
Yeah.
And destroy a pump.
Yeah, we are.
For sure.
But we want to talk about advice and what was the best advice that we were given or some of the not so great advice. And we have some amazing giveaways today. So I think that my favorite giveaway that I gave for you is a part of advice, right? So we'll show it. It's from Medela. It's the Harmony hand pump. This baby is a lifesaver. And maybe you can say how my advice and purchase of this kind gift helped you.
So talk about how fantastic I am.
Thank you.
So the hand pump, the first night I ever spent away from Avery, I went down to a friend's wedding in Texas. The way down, I was able to use the mother's rooms at the DCA Reagan Airport, which they've so conveniently placed before security. So I have to land, go through security, make a bunch of liquid, to then come back through the TSA, big pain. So when I landed on the way back, I didn't have enough time on my layover, and I actually was in that, the far away terminal that they make you get on a bus to. So anyway, I end up there and I have to pump on the plane. And I have a seatmate right next to me, a man, and I was just like, I can't set up my whole electric pump right now. So I threw a shawl over me, put my my manual breast pump in, and just sat there and expressed the milk, just sitting there with it concealed underneath, then was able to twist out the top and have my breast milk and not get a clogged duct or mastitis or pain or anything like that. I mean, it wasn't the most dignified. It wasn't ideal. I would have much rather DCA just put them on the terminals.
It's just a savior.
It was such a savior. Tell about the mom in Atlanta when the power went out.
Yeah, a mom in Atlanta, power out. Thank goodness she had a manual hand pump in her bag. So I recommend whenever you're traveling, you've got your battery-powered pump. What if you don't have an outlet? Like, this is a savior in all of those situations. I mean, for me, it was you do just enough to get relief until you can actually go find a place that you can plug in and you can pump, right?
Yeah.
But how long is that? I had a friend who was she was at a ski resort with her husband and she totally forgot her pump, but I told her to put this in her car. And so she had it in her car and was like, thank God. I just
must have been a cold breast shield.
It was. It was. But it's kind of your saving grace. I give it out with all baby shower gifts because it's one thing you wouldn't think about. You're like, oh no, I have my pump. And it's but you need the little portable on the go
emergency
option.
Yeah, it's the other thing, good advice. I mean, this is just a total side note, not about breastfeeding, but I have a pack of diapers and wipes in my car.
Of course.
Too, which is something a veteran mom told me to do. And I only finally did it after 3 times driving somewhere without a diaper bag, which like never ended up in a desperate situation, but it easily could have. And I did end up putting my friend's 2-year-old size diapers on my 5-month-old, which, you know, is absurd looking. But so, again, Annie and Nikki from Mamava coming at you here. So this is the giveaway this time. So you got a manual breast pump and this amazing new sterilization spray from Medela. So what's really cool about this, we use the wipes, the sanitizing wipes. I've used the bags to microwave parts. But this, you spray it on all of the parts, leave it, and you don't have to rinse it off. And it sanitizes everything. So they say use it for your playroom and everything. Key thing Medela needs to do is make it in travel size.
Yes.
So maybe pour 3 ounces of this into, you know, a spray bottle you can buy at CVS or whatever, but to make it actually able to fly with, which is really nice.
Yeah, which is great.
So some of the key things we did learn, like what worked, what didn't. In the first month of my returning to work, maybe the first 2 weeks, I forgot all of my breast shield assemblies and the flanges and everything.
Twice.
3 times. Twice. And the third time was I like drove back. I only fortunately live about 2 miles from this office, so I would go back and get it and come back and be able to pump at work. But then I turned to Nikki once and I said, oh my God, I forgot it again. And she said, I have an emergency set in my desk that you can use if you need to. And I looked at her and I said, why don't we both just have sets in our desks? And she looked at me like, so we strongly recommend keeping a set of breast shield assemblies and everything just at your desk. You know, we're just have them out on our desks drying each time. You know, if you have a filing cabinet, keep that bottom drawer for the parts, that kind of thing. And what we would do is we would use them throughout the whole week, and then at the end of the week, every time we both have the microwavable sterilization bags, we would sterilize them on Friday so we'd know that they were fully cleaned, and then we're able to take care of them.
Yeah, absolutely. So we're getting some feedback from some of our mamas who are here, and we're so thankful that you're participating because it's interesting. Advice comes at all different stages of your breastfeeding journey, right? So in the beginning, it can be really helpful to be like, you can do this. Don't be afraid of the nipple shield. If your nipples are raw, like keep getting the baby to breast, baby to breast, baby to breast. We've got some mamas that are like, I want to pump, but my baby won't take a bottle. I think we just saw that from a friend on here.
So this is funny. She just wrote on here.
So Janet Maria said, I'd love to pump, but my baby won't take a bottle. And one of my closest friends in the world had the same experience with her newborn. And I'm sorry, Mama, that's a frustrating, challenging place to be in because you do need to have separation at times from your little one, and if you can't get a baby to take a bottle, that's a really hard place to be in. I had a best friend who had to syringe for her baby the breast milk in the baby's mouth in order to get it in. I'll tell you that that's at the beginning of the journey. Keep being persistent with it. I know that some babies won't ever take the bottle, but others will with persistence. And what's funny for a full circle story, my 11-month-old right now who's taken that bottle from the day I dropped her off at school at 3 months will now no longer take my breast milk during the day. So only wants mom, and we're okay because that's a different situation. She's eating solid foods, but we're in it with you. We get it. I recommend trying any type of different trick you can, different people feeding it to her, you try and feed it to her. I'm sure you've tried all of these things, but syringing, going to your doctor's office and asking for a syringe to put the baby's your breast milk in the baby's mouth is a recommendation.
Yeah, my baby rejected the bottle for a good amount of time, no matter who tried, no matter if I was near, if I was far, or whatever. She did successfully take a pacifier, and what we ended up doing is like have the pacifier in her mouth and then pull it out as quickly as possible and switch the nipple of the bottle in. And it was sort of that it never triggered in her mind that it was a different thing. And then she basically was like, wow, this is the coolest pacifier I've had because not only is it soothing, but check out this breast milk. So that was the way it ended up working for us. So again, we are Annie and Nikki coming from Mom of Us headquarters. And again, thank you for those who've commented already. Say hi. Let us know what best advice you have.
Yeah. What's the worst advice you've had?
Breast pump and spray. Oh, worst advice I've had.
And if it's from me, I will work on not taking offense.
I don't think I've had it. I actually...
Or like unsolicited. I know we get a lot during pregnancy.
Lot. It's way more during pregnancy.
But any on breastfeeding?
On breastfeeding? So I was really... it's one of those things where people will tell you it won't work or it will work or you won't have, and they can sometimes become self-fulfilling prophecies where someone tells you to expect this or be nervous about that or be afraid of this or avoid that. So for me, I'm a crazy OCD scheduled person, and so I got I started to try and push Avery during the day to take bigger gaps between feeding so she would eat more at each one. And then start to sleep more through the night. And so many people were like, would be judgmental, saying that I was trying to sleep train her, and I never let her cry it out. That wasn't the point. I was feed training her, actually trying to just get her to take, bigger meals, fewer times a day. But people would be like, oh, yeah, no, people who feed formula can do that, but not people who breastfeed. Or, if you restrict yourself from your baby and you don't meet their demands, it can be emotionally traumatic. Just anything where you're like, let me do, like, if you have advice, tell about your personal experience and what worked for you, but don't say, and if you do differently, you're damaging, your baby. You're putting at risk for your baby, that's kind of the worst advice when it's ever... the way, it's my way or the highway, or it's my way or you're a bad mom. Yeah.
My recommendation always is going to be to connect with a professional, and that's a lactation consultant, right? Like, they have amazing advice for you all through the journey. And there's lots of people that you can lean on for that. So, lots of insurance companies cover lactation consultant visits right after the baby is born. But there's great apps available like Momsies, where you can consult with a lactation consultant regularly. You can connect with us and ask questions. We have an amazing social media and digital content team that is here to kind of help point you in the right directions for resources. So just don't be afraid to ask. I guess that would be my best advice is like, don't be afraid to ask for help. Don't be afraid to ask your mom community and your friends, like, what worked for you, what didn't, and learn from those experiences and try them with your baby, and know that no baby is ever the same. And so, like, from my first to my second, like, this has been hysterical, like, to watch, like Asher, I had to take a bottle away from him at like 18 months because he just wanted it so bad, just to kind of try and get him to like not need a bottle before bed. And Addison, literally, we put it in her mouth and she goes, what do you think, I'm gonna take that? No, give me the boob.
Yeah.
That's reality. Like, kids are different.
Yeah, so they... that's breastfeeding, pumping, and there are a lot of different things, sleeping or feeding. The number one thing I think I would say is borrow whatever you can. Oh. So I had so many friends who, when it came to sleeping, said, oh my God, the Merlin sleep sack. It is a godsend. And then I had other girlfriends that said, the Halo sleep sack, here you go. The Halo one, people swear by it. Undoing that Velcro in the middle of the night to try and change a diaper or something was like literally the loudest thing in the world. It just didn't work for Avery. And she didn't want to be fully swaddled in. She wanted a regular blanket swaddle that then she could pull her arms out of. And she was an incredible sleeper, so I never needed the Merlin. But looking at that, that's like $50 you could waste. And
sure.
All of your friends have so much stuff. So for a new mom, if you have, they give it back. Trust me, everyone wants it out of their house when it's done. I have a bin full of stuff, which I can't even believe Avery's only 11 months old. She has an entire storage bin of clothing she will never wear again.
Yeah, I know.
So it's that kind of thing. Borrow as much as you can. If someone says, unless of course it's like breast pump parts or bottles or something where maybe sanitation could be a concern for you.
Well, I think that it just depends that you can be willing to share with friends, especially in those that need support. So,
and there's an amazing secondhand store here for one of the best like baby programs. So those are always places to check out, like especially something like a sleep sack. See whatever works, but try and see if you can borrow it from a friend first. Or if someone says, I swear by this, like everyone told me when I was building the registry, like the swing, the rock and place thingamajigger, which Addie loved. Avery, if you put her down and at sleep, she would wake up and be like, what am I doing in this thing? So she hated it. Yeah.
Let's talk about traveling and like what we've learned about traveling. Again, kind of a full circle thing, right? So you go on your first trip, you have this experience. I'm like, do not forget your do not forget your
Breast pump,
your
the
pump,
manual,
the manual
yeah.
pump. Like, don't go anywhere without it.
And then recent time.
Yes, that's what I mean. Now tell them about your full circle. Where the text that I get, I wish we could put this up on social media,
Yeah.
but I kind of want to read it.
So I the first time I traveled, I had printed out a packing list, and it was like pumps, 2 bottles, 6 storage bags. You know, like I was incredibly organized. And everything went smoothly, and I had the manual pump, and I had all this backup. This most recent time, my husband and I were going to a wedding. We get all the way to the airport, and I look at him and I say, I left my pump. You know, and I've been charging it. No, at the house, fortunately. I mean, not within the same distance, but we drive all the way back to the house, and I get the pump, and he's like, we managed to make it on the plane, which is great. And I managed to pump in the Burlington airport before we got on, which was good, too. Otherwise, I would have been on this teeny tiny plane pumping. We get there, we deboard, and I'm like thanking the captain, and then someone from the back is like, ma'am, did you forget a bag? And I've left my pump underneath. I'm just so done with this thing. And I'm like, it's me and my husband. It's mom and dad. So I'm like, I don't need a pump. What are we talking about? I abandoned it. There's multiple bags of milk.
I get this text that's like, so I left the pump at home. Then I left the pump on the plane.
They left me back on.
I'm pretty sure that I'm over this. So I just want you guys to know we all
major tip that absolutely works. So that time, you know, I've only pumped a couple times. I'm not pumping at the same rate that I was. But I took all of the milk that I pumped and I got all the storage bags and I put exactly 3 ounces in multiple storage bags. And so when I went through TSA, they go in, the guy tries to take it out. He takes it out of, you know, he opens the cooler bag and he's going to get it, and he has those gross little, like, tabs that you supposedly hold over the milk or whatever. And I looked at him and I said, you're not allowed to test that. You're not allowed to open that. And he said, looked at me and kind of was annoyed. And then he called a CSS officer, which I think stands something for customs. And the guy came over and looked at it and goes, these are all 3 ounces. You're not allowed to check these. You don't have any cause. It doesn't matter what it is. And they sent me on my way. So hot tip. If you're traveling, and I mean, I don't even know, bring 10 plastic bags and fill them all at 3 ounces, and they cannot bother you about it. It's the same as putting 3 ounces of shampoo in a bottle. They're just like, okay, you're sent through. You're fine. So just something that worked really well.
That's a good one. So I think, you know, in general, what
we also have the tips for TSA on our blog.
Oh yeah, check our blog.
Traveling with breast milk, we have a great blog.
Yes. And feel free to solicit feedback and say, this is what's worked for me, and this is my experience. Do you have any advice, Mama Von? We're always here to engage with you on social channels to do so. You know, I think in general, the advice we try and give is that no mama's the same and no mama has the same experience. No baby is the same and baby has the same experience. So you do you and you do what works for you, and you try and leverage your community of support to really, really rally around this thing that's very hard. I think we are so privileged in that we work in an office with lovely colleagues, and around a mission that's dedicated to trying to transform this for other women and the next generation of mothers to come after us. And so we think that you can be part of that revolution and that cultural movement with us by sharing your stories, by supporting each other, by not giving judgmental advice, but by listening and giving your feedback on what worked for you and what didn't. So that's what we are trying to do here at Mamava, and hopefully that's helpful to all of you.
The number one thing that worked best, so, you know, we say this all the time to our partners that do purchase Mamavas, is providing the dedicated, private, clean space is only part of the journey. Well, the thing that made my transition back to work incredible was that every single colleague at Mamava respected also the time that I needed and the logistics and everything involved. So there was never a moment when I'm standing in our kitchen washing my pump parts that someone gave me a weird look or was saying, what's that? What are you doing? Or, gosh, I can't believe she's washing those out in my sink.
How many meetings have I been like, I'm running late, guys. Sorry, I have to pump. I'm running late.
So much respect. Or I'm in a meeting with our CEO and she looks at me and she says, you have to go pump. You know, it's her sending me off like, we respect this time.
That's rare.
Yeah, exactly. So, but that type of thing where it is understood that it's not negotiable. Where if a woman is working for you and is breastfeeding and says to you, I got to go pump, and you say, yeah, so, but to close out, if she's saying to you, I gotta go pump, you say, you go.
Yeah,
you know, if she's at the point where she's asking, it means that it's probably a desperate situation. Yeah. So it is, yes, the space, but it is also the time and the culture, really that culture that you present around breastfeeding, that you make it as acceptable as possible, because I never felt isolated. And that's what we hear over and over again for breastfeeding moms.
And so to you, as the community that is experiencing this, like, advocate for yourselves. I say it all the time. Be your biggest advocate and ask others around you and moms around you, how did you ask for space at work? How did you ask for time at work? How did you ask to help create a lactation policy? Know that we can help you in the workplace do that, but that you are your strongest and your best advocates.
Yeah. In the building we used to be in, we had a couple moms that were sharing our space with us, and one of them came up to me and asked, you know, what do you write as your calendar? You know, I write reserved, or I wrote busy, and I said I wrote pump.
That's
you know, just so that there's no confusion whatsoever. And another mom, Heather, was actually just commenting, you know, you also try and build that community wherever you are with other moms. She ended up forgetting all of her bags one day, and fortunately she works a floor above Mamava, who always has tons of extra bags and bottles and all of that kind of stuff. So reaching out to those around you to get, you know, the support and help.
It takes a village.
Absolutely.
So we got our winner.
Awesome tools like this amazing Medela Harmony manual breast pump and sterilization spray.
For our
which
winner,
will go to
Isabella Kennedy.
So thank you so much. Direct message us with your information, and we'll get this in the mail.
I love your name. You have a good name.
You have a great name.
Great name, Isabella.
So we will be sending that over. Thank you again for joining with Annie and Nikki. Continue to share with us your incredible tips. Moms can see all of the comments, come to this, and be able to see what your best or your worst, because sometimes, you know, the negative is just as informative as the positive. And we will see you in 2 weeks.
Yeah.
With our next podcast. Ta-ta for now.